Hi guys, it's Miss Roopa again. I wanted to go ahead and start our next few chapters of our book, March Mischief. Let's begin by doing a little recap of the first three chapters that we heard yesterday. So, our characters so far are Nate, Brian, Lucy, and Bradley, and they're all friends. They're in the first grade, and they are getting ready for a St. Patrick's Day event. It is a contest where they have to dress up a leprechaun statue in a funny outfit, and the mayor of the town is going to choose a winner. And so they have decided to dress their leprechaun up like their dog, Pal. They have long ears, a fuzzy sweater that they've put on him. And so they've got him all ready. Bradley, the little boy, he woke up one morning and the leprechaun statue was supposed to be sitting outside of his house. And when he woke up to go get orange juice and to check on the leprechaun statue, the statue was gone. A few minutes later, as he was eating some breakfast, Bradley got a very strange phone call from someone with a very hoarse voice that said a boy named Lucky O'Leary had stolen the leprechaun. So the kids all went up to the big blue house, which was Lucky O'Leary's house, to go confront him about this. And at the very end, where we left off, a police car pulled up to the house, and two police officers got out. So that was the end of chapter 3, and we are going to go ahead and start chapter 4. So I hope you guys are in a comfy spot and ready to go. Chapter 4, Mischief. Bradley recognized Officer Fallon and Officer Keene. Bradley's mouth fell open. Pal barked at all the excitement. All the kids stopped playing. The little girl hugged one of her dolls. "Hello, kids," Officer Fallon said. He smiled under his floppy mustache. "Hello, Lucky. How's school?" "You know, school's cool," Lucky said. A woman with red hair came out onto the porch behind Lucky. Two of his red-headed brothers stepped out after her. Bradley knew they went to the same school, but he didn't know their names. "Hello, Roberta," Officer Fallon said. "Hello, Officer Fallon," Miss O'Leary answered. "What brings you our way?" "I'm afraid there's been some mischief in town, Roberta," Officer Fallon said. "Someone's been stealing leprechauns." "Ours got stolen too," Bradley said, "right off our porch." "Huh?" Officer Fallon said. "That makes 3 so far, then. Mr. Paskey at the Book Nook said his was taken last night. He left it out for the paint to dry. And Miss Wong at the pet shop says hers got swiped right off her desk." "But what does that have to do with us?" Roberta O'Leary asked. "We still have Josephine's leprechaun." She pointed to the fairy princess leprechaun on the porch steps. Officer Fallon gave Lucky a strange look. "I'm arresting Lucky for the thefts." He and his partner walked towards the porch. Officer Keene was holding handcuffs. Bradley couldn't believe what he was seeing. Lucky O'Leary was no thief. He tutored high school kids who needed extra help. He was a volunteer fireman. He'd never go around stealing leprechauns. "I didn't steal anything," Lucky said. He took a step backward. "My son is innocent," Roberta O'Leary said. "That's not what we heard," Officer Fallon said. He took Lucky by the arm. "Come with us to the station, son." Lucky's little sister Josephine began to cry. "He didn't do anything," she said. "You leave my brother alone." The officers put Lucky in the cruiser's back seat. All the redheads charged up onto the porch. "Mom, what's happening?" they all asked. "Everything will be fine," Miss O'Leary said. Then she herded her gang into the house. Bradley couldn't move. He felt like a statue. Chapter 5. Lucky's Unlucky Day. The cruiser took off. All the O'Learys were in the house. The yard was quiet. The fairy princess leprechaun stood all alone on the porch. "Boy, that was weird," Nate said. The kids and Pal started walking towards the main street. "Do you think Lucky really took the leprechauns?" Lucy asked. "No, Lucky is honest," Brian said. "But someone must think he did it," Bradley said. "Someone called the cops on him." "Maybe Miss Wong or Mr. Paskey saw Lucky do it," Nate said. "I'd bet anything he didn't steal them," Bradley said. "This has to be just a big mistake." "I feel bad for Lucky," Lucy said. "But how can we get our leprechaun back? The contest is tomorrow morning." "We'll figure something out," Bradley said. "If we can find the real thief, Lucky will get out of jail, and we'll get our leprechaun back." When the kids and Pal reached the twins' house, they got a surprise. 2 beat-up bikes leaned against the porch. 2 of Lucky's brothers were sitting on the steps. They stood up. "Hey," Bradley said. "How'd you get here before us?" "We took River Road," one of the boys said. "I'm Ben, and this is Ralphie. We have something to tell you." All 6 kids sat on the porch. Pal found a tennis ball to chew on. "Sorry about Lucky," Brian said. "Well, that's why we're here," Ben said. "Lucky didn't take your leprechauns. We did. We took the other ones, too." "We called you this morning and blamed it on Lucky," Ralphie said. "But why?" asked Bradley. "You know, we were mad at Lucky," Ben said. "He got Mom to punish us for messing around in his room. So we came up with an idea. We stole the 3 statues last night. We dragged them home in our sister's wagon. Then we hid them in Lucky's closet under his gym clothes. Then we called you," Ralphie said. "We just wanted to mess with Lucky, not get him arrested." "Anyway," Ben went on, "after Officer Fallon took Lucky away, we ran upstairs to his bedroom. We figured we'd bring the 3 leprechauns to Officer Fallon and tell him the truth." Ben and Ralphie glanced at each other. "So, what happened?" Nate asked. "When we looked in the closet, the leprechauns were gone," Ben said. Bradley thought Ben O'Leary was going to cry. Chapter 6. Everyone loves Lucky. "Someone swiped them again?" Nate asked. "We don't know what to do," Ben said. "Our mom is upset, Lucky is in jail, and everyone's crying all over the house." "You really should tell Officer Fallon that you did it," Lucy said. "We want to," Ralphie said, "but the leprechauns are gone. How can we explain that?" "There's something I don't understand," Bradley said. "How could Miss Wong or Mr. Paskey report that Lucky stole their leprechauns when he didn't do it? You guys took them." "I don't get that either," Ben said. "Maybe Miss Wong or Mr. Paskey saw one of you and thought you were your big brother," Nate suggested. "You kind of sort of look alike." "Let's go ask them," Brian said. "Good idea," Bradley said. He put Pal in the house. "We can't bring Pal," asked Lucy, "because he'll bark at all the pets in Mrs. Wong's shop," Bradley explained. The kids headed down Eagle Lane. They cut through Center Park and crossed Main Street in front of the Furry Feet pet shop. A bell tinkled when they opened the door. Mrs. Wong was cleaning a tropical fish tank. A box of bunny rabbits stood on a table. Parakeets and canaries sang from a row of cages. "Hi, kids," said Mrs. Wong. She wiped her hands on a cloth. "How can I help you today?" "We heard about your stolen leprechaun," Brian said. "Ours got taken, too." "No," Miss Wong said. "And Officer Fallon told us Mr. Paskey's disappeared, too," Nate said. "Goodness," Miss Wong said. "Greenlawn has a leprechaun thief." "Officer Fallon thinks it's my brother, Lucky," Ben O'Leary said. Miss Wong laughed. "Lucky wouldn't steal a penny," she said. "He's the most honest kid I know." Bradley felt even more confused. "You mean you didn't tell Officer Fallon you thought Lucky took your leprechaun?" "Heavens, no," Miss Wong said. "I simply told him someone had taken it. I didn't name any names. I have no idea who took my leprechaun." It was us, Miss Wong," Ralphie admitted. "Ben and I took yours and 2 others to play a trick on Lucky. We're really sorry." Then they explained how they hid the statues in Lucky's closet, only to find them missing later. "But we'll get yours back before the contest. Honest." Miss Wong grinned. "I accept your apology," she said, "but this whole thing is very strange. Let me know what happens." "Thanks, Mrs. Wong," said Bradley. "Now we're going to go talk to Mr. Paskey." The bell tinkled again as the 6 kids left. They crossed Main Street and passed Howard's barbershop. They all waved to Howard. He was cutting the mayor's hair. The kids walked up to the steps to the book nook. Mr. Paskey was on a ladder dusting a row of books. "Well, hello, young readers," he said. "Hi, Mr. Paskey," all 6 kids said. The bookseller stepped down from the ladder. "What can I do for you today?" he asked. "We heard that your leprechaun got stolen," Nate said. "It did indeed," said Mr. Paskey. "One moment it was on my sidewalk and the next it was gone." "Miss Wong's got swiped too," Bradley said. "And ours too," Brian said. "It's a real-life mystery," Mr. Paskey said. "Who would steal leprechauns right before the contest?" "We did. My brother and I took them all," Ben said. He and Ralphie blushed as red as Mr. Paskey's bow tie. They explained about the trick they were trying to play on Lucky. They told him how Lucky had gotten arrested. "Lucky? Arrested? What utter nonsense," Mr. Paskey said. I know Lucky. We worked here part-time a few summers ago. I saw him pick up a nickel off the floor one day. Instead of slipping it in his pocket, he gave it to me. Lucky would never steal leprechauns." "You mean you didn't tell Officer Fallon you thought it was Lucky?" Bradley asked. Mr. Paskew shook his head. "Never!" Bradley looked at the other kids. He knew they were all thinking the same thing he was thinking. None of them had told Officer Fallon that Lucky was the thief. Miss Wong hadn't either, nor had Mr. Paskew. So if no one was blaming Lucky, why had Officer Fallon arrested him?